Hey, what's going on, everybody? Not Your Average Josh back here for another video. It's been a minute, a couple weeks since I've uploaded a video. Really, the short of it, I just haven't really been to the movie theaters much in this month of January. With me doing this channel, have a lot of fun doing it, but there's times where I'm working so much and I got a lot of other stuff going on where I can't quite make it to the movie so much. And plus, this month, it's not like there was a lot of major things out, but I did want to see some of it. Maybe I'll go and check it out and might do some late reviews for something like Presents or even One of Them Days. I heard it's a pretty good comedy that I want to go out and see. But other than that, I'm happy to be back here doing another video, and I thought I'd do something for the first time. This year, I'm really getting more and more into focusing on having a collection of physical media. Doing that more. I had a bunch of old, just regular DVDs that my grandma gave me. She had a collection of it, and she got rid of all her movies. So I had a bunch that was just regular DVDs, non-Blu-ray, that I ended up taking in and exchanging, and then getting a bunch of different Blu-rays to go ahead and start that collection out. So I thought I'd go ahead and start a series for this channel, updating my Blu-ray collection as I continue to add to it. Don't really have much. This is a very small collection here starting out. I just thought it'd be fun to document and see how it goes. This year, I plan to really add to it a whole lot. Don't have much, as I said, and there's going to be a lot of random ones in here because there were a few Blu-ray DVDs that my grandma had in her collection, but most of it was just regular DVDs, as I said. So some of these in here are going to be random, maybe movies that are part of a full collection that I don't have any of the others yet. And like I said, I'm going to plan to add to this collection a whole lot this year. But I thought it'd be fun to not only upload this, but also hear some other people's thoughts that are maybe watched this video, some suggestions you might have, maybe a movie or movies that I haven't thought about. So whatever you think about my collection, if you think it's weird, some of the stuff I have in here, because like I said, there's going to be some random ones in here that I probably haven't even seen yet that I'm going to check out because now I have it, and going to be, again, focusing more on adding to this collection. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and go in alphabetical order here, and it shouldn't be too long of a video. I'm not going to try not to go on too long. Sometimes I can tend to go on a little bit of a tangent with some of these movies. Anyways, first off, we're going to start out with 42. This movie I really enjoy. Whenever it first came out, I remember born in 1998, so when this came out, I was middle school, early high school age. Don't remember exactly when this one came out, like 2013, I believe. If you haven't seen this movie, if you're a fan of sports films, this is definitely a go-to. And Chadwick Boseman, of course, R.I.P. He was a great actor, and this really was my first exposure to him. Might have been his first major breakout, I believe it was. But yeah, if you haven't seen this film, I think this is a really good one. Again, if you're a fan of sports films, I think you probably have already seen this, but it's definitely a go-to. Harrison Ford gives a great performance in here as well. Brings that power and the gravitas of what Jackie Robinson represented. And as a person, of course, that wasn't around when he was alive, the real person, I think he did a really good job of showcasing all of what he went through with, of course, the racial discrimination and how tough it was to make it into the league. And really good acting all around, and also well-directed as well. I would definitely check this out at some point if you have not. Now, up next, we have 1917. This is one of the only 4Ks I have. That's another thing. I do not have a 4K player, and so there is, I'm just going to have to probably wait on getting some of those other 4Ks. I have a Sony Blu-ray, but I don't have a PlayStation 5 either. I know that probably plays 4K as well. And also, looking into it, I might need to get a different TV. I don't know how that all works. I've heard you need to get like a 4K TV. I have a nice TV, but I don't know if it's that. So anyways, the bottom line is I don't really have the setup right now to get to really focus on getting 4Ks, but luckily this is one that was in my grandma's collection that I just ended up getting, and it is the 4K with also the Blu-ray inside as well. And this is a Sam Mendes film, and if you haven't seen this, it came out now a few years ago, I think like 2019. This was a really fun movie. I saw this with my grandma for the first time, and of course one of the main things when people talk about this is how they made the whole movie look like it was done in one shot, hiding the different cuts they had. And I remember the first time, I'll never forget my viewing experience when like 10, 15 minutes went by and I leaned over to my grandma and I was like, man, it seems like they have not cut it all yet. This seems like it's all done in one shot. And the imagination that went on in my head, and I really love when there's a film that does that with the filmmaking quality or different detail they add to that. And also, it wasn't just a gimmick. I do think they added it to really make you feel like you are living in real time with these two main characters in this. If you haven't seen this movie, I think it is one of the better modern day war films, I guess, since like the year 2000 or something like that, if you will say. But the acting here is really good by your two main leads, and it really does a good job at showcasing the horrors of war, those little moments when you have just to have a little conversation with your comrade before shit hits the fan again. Really represents that very well. The visceral nature of war, the bloodiness, the horrors that are provided, and when they're trying to cross enemy lines here, the tension that this movie builds, the direction is really well done. It'll be really great to actually watch it in 4K. I know you can do it on streaming, but that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to collect more physical media. Is sometimes that streaming quality, even when it says it's HD, you can tell it not quite up to snuff. However, they have to transfer it over or whatnot. Don't know all the details of that, but anyways, not going to go on too long about it. Again, try to keep these a little bit shorter. But 1917, if you haven't seen this, it is a really great film. If you love war movies, this is one you have to get to if you haven't gone to yet. So yeah, really great theater experience, and also just a really well made and well done movie. The sound design as well, cinematography, all the technical levels, really well done with this movie. Definitely be interested to check it out again here soon. Let's see. Now up next is a favorite of mine. I was so happy to go ahead and get this here early on in my collection. A movie that came out in the 2000s that I don't hear really many people talking about, and that is Adventureland. Jesse Eisenberg, Kristen Stewart, Bill Hader, Kristen Wiig. I mean, so many people in this. Ryan Reynolds. This is such a fun movie. It is, for a lot of it, a hangout movie at this amusement park. And I don't know if they ever specify the exact year it takes place in, but I believe it's in the 80s. Love the movie. I still don't quite know about that, but I believe that is the time it is. And I'll be interested to watch this again now that I have it on physical media. But this is one, if you haven't seen yet and you're a fan of any of the 2000s comedies that run of like the Judd Apatow or some of the even more smaller ones that people talk about, this is, I think, a quintessential one of that time. One of my favorite Jesse Eisenberg performances, probably my favorite Kristen Stewart performance, even though it's not necessarily probably her best, but one of my favorites to watch. I think her and Jesse have a really good chemistry in this. Ryan Reynolds as this older guy working at the amusement park, kind of a little bit sleazy, but also bringing that charm that he can always bring. And we get Martin Starr in here as well. Not the biggest fan of his, but anything he pops up in, it usually is pretty fun, and he is really nice in here as well. Just a really fun movie, puts you in the time period that it is in. The soundtrack for this is also really awesome. It's not the best comedy of the 2000s, but for me, it puts me in this really good mood when I'm watching it and gives me these nice feels that are very specific for this movie. I don't really know how else to describe it, but really fun. Really enjoy this movie. It has the comedy in there, gives you the little smaller romantic drama at times. Of course, they're going to play with here, but overall, really fun. The idea of being in an amusement park in like the 80s, and they capture that really well in here. So really enjoy all the acting. Bill Hader has one of his more funny moments in a movie in this. It involves a baseball bat. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm sure there's a clip on YouTube. Just look up Adventureland and Bill Hader clip, because it is one of my favorite Bill Hader moments in any movie. But
the option of a flute.
People are trying to kill me. Get the fuck out, motherfucker! Get out of my doorway, motherfucker! Give me reason. Just give me a fucking reason! You don't know what I'm capable of! Come on, please! You don't know what I'm capable of! Thanks, Bobby.
Hey, no problem.
Okay, I'm gonna take the bat.
Yeah, I get it. You know what, now that I think of it, the flute is actually more expensive.
yeah, again, not going to go on too long from that. The director of Superbad as well, as I'm looking at this again. You probably already saw it on there. But so yeah, Superbad, obviously one of my favorite comedies of all time. But yes, really fun movie that I don't hear that many people talk about that I think should be, had to get this one, Adventureland. Up next, again, going in alphabetical order here again, probably going to try and go a little quicker here because I know I'm probably, I don't have that much movies, but I know I'm definitely going on a little bit longer than I already planned to because I'm the one who edits these videos, and so I'm not going to try to be as long-winded with this, but this is another one, and you're going to see a little theme already here in my small little collection of the year 1987. Didn't realize until I already started this physical media collection that I love that year so much, and this is a movie that is in that year and is Adventures in Babysitting. I absolutely adore this film. As I've mentioned earlier in this video, I was born in 1998, so wasn't alive when this came out, obviously, but I have so much nostalgia for it. My dad loved this movie, and I watched it countless times with him growing up, late night as we're about to go to bed. A fun little movie, not too long. Elizabeth Shue in here, long before her wonderful performance on The Boys, where she's getting her milk taken from her. She's really fun in this. See her as a younger person in this role, leading this group of kids, this fun adventure into the city. I'm sure you might not have heard of it if you're watching this video. It is one that I don't really hear anyone ever talk about. The kids are in this movie as well. I believe one of the kids that's in this is also in Dazed and Confused. Later on, I really enjoy that movie as well. That I need to also add to the collection. But yeah, not really much to add to this. If you've never seen it, it's a fun comedy. It has one of my favorite moments, one of my favorite lines in any 80s movie, and it's delivered by Elizabeth Shue.
Don't fuck with the lords of hell.
Don't fuck with the babysitter.
All right, baby, chill out. Shit.
And yeah, this is just a fun movie. I believe it takes place in Chicago, in the suburbs, and then a lot of the other movie takes place in the city where they go on their adventure, aka Adventures in Babysitting. Also, really love the cover here. This is one of my favorite covers in general. I think it just screams 80s and also is really badass. And yeah, really cool to have this. Could probably say more, but I'll maybe leave that for a review at some point, maybe after I watch this again. But yeah, Adventures in Babysitting. Let's see. And now another one here that was already a part of my grandma's collection that I got. Didn't have to go buy this one, but I would have anyway. And it is one of my favorite anime movies of all time, for sure, and that is Aladdin. What else can I say? Not really much to add to this. I guess if I want to do a full review, I could go into more details. But obviously a classic. Of course, Robin Williams, what he brings to the genie character, the story, the world it transports you in. I mean, this was the time, the 90s, the renaissance of Disney. Obviously, as I mentioned, born in 1998, so many of these films really shaped my childhood. And yeah, this is obviously one of the greatest. The music in this, the Alan Menken era, there's nothing more to say. This is classic Disney. Don't need to be too long on this one. This is a classic, and obviously glad I have this. And I will be definitely interested to add a lot more to my collection in terms of Disney movies, because still with Disney Plus, since that's been out, there's so many nights where I just put on a Disney movie that's on there and go to sleep to that, because there's so many classics for me, going back to the Snow White original movie to whatever you want to go, even more recent, like the Pixar stuff, of course. Up next is the only steelbook I do have, and that is the steelbook of American Sniper. This is a movie that I need to actually revisit. I remember liking it pretty well. I know there's controversy with the whole story, the actual story it's based on with Chris Kyle and everything. I haven't gotten much into that. I just know there's controversy there, so can't really speak much on that. The movie itself, though, I remember was a pretty incredible movie theater experience. Whatever you want to say about the story, Clint Eastwood knows how to direct a film. Bradley Cooper was amazing in this. I think at the time, this was probably the best performance I had seen of Bradley Cooper. And I think, again, all controversy aside, the story itself, I thought, is told pretty well. Again, I need to revisit it to see how much I do like it. But yeah, this is a really good one. If you're a fan of war films, I think this is one of the better modern ones as well. And again, it all depends on how much you care about that controversy. But I really love the steelbook. This nice cover there, obviously, as you can see. And then you get the little back here. That's a nice little thing on the back. And then just go ahead and show you guys this. It's a nice little creative inside there as well. So yeah, I really like this steelbook. I'm definitely interested in collecting that more and more. Already getting that itch where I'm wanting to collect all different types of different packaging with these movies. So yeah, I really did like this movie. Need to visit it again, as I mentioned. Now on to another Disney film, and this was another one that was in my collection that my grandma already had. Didn't have to buy this one, and that is the Aristocats, one that I actually had never seen all the way through. This is one of the few Disney movies that it probably was on when I was growing up, and I maybe have had it on Disney Plus while I was passed out or whatever in the middle of playing another movie or after playing another movie. So I actually watched this the other day for the first time, fully from beginning to end. And I liked it pretty well. I could see why I never really gravitated towards it that much. It's a pretty simple story. I thought it didn't have a lot going on the first half of it, and the second half of the movie brought a little bit more emotion, surprisingly, and I really enjoyed how it ended up. The music in it's pretty well done, not too memorable, but this is a nice one to have, though. As I mentioned, me loving Disney films as much as I do, I'm probably going to end up collecting almost all of them because it's my childhood and I grew up on it. Shaped a lot of course, with animation, but what I ended up loving so much is so many of these movies, having them back on when I had so many of them on VCR. So yeah, really cool to actually finally watch this, and I enjoyed it pretty well. So a nice one to have. Now this next movie, this is where it's starting to get a little weird already, and where I'm sure I'm gonna get some weird comments if anybody's watching this video of why the hell do you have this random movie in here that's probably not that good. And this is a movie I've never seen, and it was also, again, one that was already in my grandma's collection that I got, so I did not buy this one, not trying to defend myself from this because I haven't even seen it, but I'm pretty sure I've heard not so good things from it. And that is the Michael Fassbender movie, Assassin's Creed movie he starred in. I don't think I heard the best stuff from this. When this come out here? 2016, 2017, around that time. I'm a mild fan of the games. I played a little bit of it before, like the first one and the Black Flag one. I would go in and out and playing that series. I wasn't the biggest fan of Assassin's Creed, but I like the gameplay style and all that. And I think this was one of those that Michael Fassbender did. He's done a few of these movies that just have not worked, and I think this was one of them from everything that I hear. But haven't seen this one yet. So like I said, don't know much about it. I think they even make a sequel to this, like straight to streaming or some shit like that. I don't know. I'm gonna check it out probably at some point because I have it on physical, and we'll see where it goes. But yeah, you can. If you're watching this, put in the comments, is this movie shitty? Go ahead and let me know yourself. Up next, and this is, again, where it's getting pretty weird. This is one that I actually got for Christmas a while back, and I still have the front sticker on here. Hold on, I'm actually going to take this little front sticker off.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
This is, I'm pretty sure, the only MCU movie I have so far. I got it for Christmas, I think like 2019 or 2020 or something like that. And it is Avengers Infinity War. Again, another one I don't really need to say much about. Everyone knows about this film. Everyone knows about the MCU, but obviously a great film. It goes back and forth between being my favorite movie in all of the MCU. I think the way it ends off on such a dark note is so badass and awesome, but also tragic and sad, of course. Thanos still the most intimidating best villain that Marvel or the MCU has put out there, and of course what Josh Brolin brings to the character, and getting this epic team up of everyone, bringing in Wakanda with Black Panther, everything going on with Thor, the Guardians of the Galaxy, the way they're able to bring it together, of course the Russo brothers being the main driving force there. Of course, just a great film, and I need to get into the bonus features on this as well. But also, again, pretty weird. This is the only MCU movie I own. Glad it's one of the better ones, one of the great ones. But yeah, going to be looking forward to, hopefully, as I continue to put more videos out a year or every month. That's what I'm going to try and do as I get more physical media. I'm going to try to acquire them at a pace where I can put a video out a month, just updating my new ones that I've picked up, the ones that I haven't shown on here yet, and then probably once a year give a full update to my whole collection. But anyways, yeah, Infinity War, like I said, not much else need to be said. Great film, awesome to have it. Now here's another one that I have picked up personally myself. This wasn't in my grandma's collection, and is one that I have not seen yet, and that is Baby Driver. I love Edgar Wright, Shaun of the Dead, The World's End, Hot Fuzz. Love all three of those films. So it's pretty crazy. I've never watched this. I've heard nothing but great things about it. Always hear about the soundtrack. And of course, what you got in here? Ansel Elgort, mess up his name there. Kevin Spacey, Lily James, Eiza Gonzalez, John Hamm, Jamie Foxx. Really great cast here. I think even I saw John Bernthal in here as well. Either way, I've heard nothing but positive things about this since it came out. And just never got to it. That's the thing nowadays, especially with streaming stuff. With movies and television shows, there's so much stuff that I may not get to, and this is one of those ones. So another reason to collect stuff on physical media, because it gives me more incentive to go ahead and open it up and not only watch it, but get into those special features, because I'm getting more and more addicted to doing that as well with already the movies that I've started to get into with the collection I have now. Love seeing the behind the scenes stuff on a lot of these movies. So anyways, yeah, Baby Driver, heard nothing but great things about it. Love the cover art here. Yeah, can't wait to see it. Edgar Wright, really enjoy him. Next is the movie. It was already in my grandma's collection, but still surprising that I have this before I have the other movie that pits these two in the main leads, and that is Blended. I really enjoy this film. Need badly to get 50 First Dates since I have this, but this is one that I hear pretty much no one ever talk about, but I probably saw it maybe a year or two after it came out. After 50 First Dates, and it had been so long, it was one of those, and Adam Sandler was at a point in his career with stuff like Jack and Jill, and weird things going on with him in the movies he was picking and deciding to do. I didn't really have much faith in this, but when I finally saw it, I remember really enjoying it. The chemistry between them two, Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler. It's, I couldn't say quite as good as 50 First Dates because that's so classic, but it is really well done here. Going to a different part of the world where this movie takes place in. I think it's a fun setting for all the stuff to go down. I think the writing in here is pretty well done. And Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore are, they still have that chemistry in here again. Probably not quite as good as 50 First Dates, but yeah, if you haven't seen this, you never gave it a chance. If you do really enjoy 50 First Dates, I would give this a try. I'm really glad to have this on Blu-ray. Be interested to see the special features on this as well. Typical Adam Sandler movie has a lot of little nice cameos in here. I think Terry Crews is in here constantly doing this little funny dance and song bit throughout the movie that is really fun also.
The boy has no skills. You schooled by a little girl.
Can't remember. I think it's it takes place in they going to Africa on vacation. So yeah, really enjoyed this movie. Again, not quite the 50 First Dates, which I need to get definitely, but I still can watch this every now and then, and it has pretty good comedy in it, and it is one of the better Adam Sandler films, especially like once you get past 2010 and stuff like that. It can be a little shaky at times, but really, really fun one there. Now, the next, this is going to be a little bit quicker one. I'm not as familiar with this. This was one of the ones that was in my grandma's collection. I'm going to go ahead and say, not the biggest anime fan here. Not that I particularly don't like anime, but I not that deep with it in terms of my knowledge of it. Dragon Ball Z is about as far as I go with the real extensive stuff, and this is also one that I never heard much about. I would love to get into it more, and hopefully this will be one thing I can, but it is a certain thing called Black Clover. I believe it is a series, a show, and don't know much about it, but I have like this collection, which is season 1, episodes 1 through 51. So there's a lot to go through here with this. I'm just going to take a shot in the dark with this. I could have went ahead and trade this in to get something I'm more familiar with, but I want to be more familiar with anime. Even the movies like My Neighbor Totoro, Spirited Away, movies like that from Studio Ghibli. I still am not familiar much with it, so I would love to get more involved with it. I just haven't really dived into it. It has seemed a little intimidating at times with how much content there is, and especially something like this that has so many episodes with it. Even something like Dragon Ball Z, which is just so many iterations of different shows and runs, almost like a comic book. You know, it'll be interesting. But again, this is part 1, season 1 of this show, and then I also have. If you're a fan of this, go ahead and leave a comment below. I'm not sure exactly how popular this is, but you got season 2 of Black Clover, which is another like 50 episodes. I do really enjoy the cover of these as well. Really cool looking. And also one of the reasons why this is season 3. I probably should hold it up. This is also another reason why I wanted to get into it. I thought the artwork looks really cool on here, and anime in general, a lot of the animation looks really awesome. It's partly intimidating, and also like where do I start? Almost getting into comic books in general. It's like, oh man, I just need to start somewhere and just go with it. But anyways, yeah, this is season 3 of it. So I have 3 seasons of this. All on Blu-ray, so I'm gonna get into this at some point. But now going back to the movie side of things, this is one that I personally picked up, wasn't a part of my grandma's collection, and that is The Change Up. And this is one that, again, as time has gone on, don't really hear people talking about as much as I think they should. You get, if you don't really know much about it, Ryan Reynolds, Jason Bateman in here as 2 completely opposite type of guys. Ryan Reynolds, the more laid back dude who gets all the chicks, and Jason Bateman, the family man with kids and a wife, and is going through it. And you have a little bit of a Freaky Friday situation where they end up switching bodies. They both see the parts of each of their lives that they wish they might be able to have, and they're pissing in a fountain one night after drinking, and that's where the whole switcheroo happens. So yeah, it's a funny comedy. This is also the unrated version. I don't think I've ever seen that, but I really love this movie. Very funny throughout. Was still around that time period, like the early 2010s was that last real period of those real raunchy, outrageous, going for funny comedies, where nowadays you do get more of the dramedies that dominate the comedy genre, if you will, if that makes any sense, where you get more of the mixing. There's not a lot of those just straight out, this movie's going to be funny from beginning to end, and we're not going to hold back at all. And I think there should still be room for that. I know there is more of the sensitivity and whatnot, but I feel like we're getting out of that in some way, not to get into a talk on society or anything like that, but it'd be nice to have more films like this, and this was a really nice pairing. I think Jason Bateman, this was the time when he was doing more movies like this, so yeah, really enjoy this. If you've never seen it, you love comedy, especially like the run from 2000 to 2015, and this is one of the better ones, maybe not one of the best, but I think it's one of the better ones you could watch, and I really love it. And Ryan Reynolds, I mean, he's always going to be charming, and he really brings that as well. And really fun movie, funny as hell. Now, here is another one that I have never seen before, and that is Chinatown, the Jack Nicholson movie. My friend Guillermo has always talked about this. He really enjoys this movie, and I'm so glad I have it. I really enjoy the little cover I got here. Be interesting to see the movie. I mean, it's a classic. Never seen it, heard nothing but good about it, and so yeah, I'm definitely gonna be interested in getting into this. Yeah, not really much to say. Like I said, I haven't seen it yet. If you've seen this movie before, go ahead and leave your comment down below. Is it the classic that it is? Will it live up to the hype once I finally watch it? But yeah, Chinatown. Now with another one that I picked up personally, and that is Couples Retreat, the Vince Vaughn film. You get Kristen Bell in here, Jon Favreau again with Jason Bateman also. Really nice cast. Faison Love as well. This is another one I really enjoyed, probably maybe even more than I should have as a young person, because this does feel like a movie that's targeted more towards adult couples and everything, talking about the ins and outs of that. But for me, this movie still hit for me growing up as a teenager. Really enjoyed the acting in here. Another one that is, it's a PG-13 movie, so it doesn't quite go as raunchy as something like The Change Up, as I just talked about. But really a fun vacation type movie. If you're in a relationship, I think this definitely hits on a lot of levels with the comedy as well. And really fun setting. Also, I'm a real sucker for certain movies if they're in a particular setting that can add a nice little fun element to it. But yeah, really enjoy this. Maybe not the best of this era, but is one that has a soft spot in my heart for me. I'm a big Vince Vaughn fan as well. I'm going to be collecting pretty fair amount more of his shit. Wedding Crashers is one of my favorite comedies of all time. So yeah, definitely would check this out if you've never seen it. And now here's another movie which I believe I saw when it first came out, but I don't know. I don't really remember much from it, and that is Date Night with Steve Carell, Tina Fey, a bunch of other people pop up in this movie. Like I said, I think I saw it when it first came out, but I don't really remember much from it. This was also another one similar to Couples Retreat that seemed like it was definitely catered more towards adults that are in relationships, and I think at the time it didn't interest me that well, I don't think. But definitely be interested in going back and checking this out again. I've heard nothing but positive things from it. Really, the past recent years, even, it's gotten a little bit more of a conversation from some of the people that I've been around or watched on the various YouTube channels and whatnot. So yeah, be interested in checking this one out. Again, not much really to add to this. Came out like 2010, so again, around that time period where you still had that a nice variety of comedy movies coming out. Now, here's a movie that is one of my faves. Love this movie so much. I saw it for the first time from beginning to end, actually only a few years ago, I believe, when it was its, I want to say 35th anniversary, something like that. Came out in 87, 97, 97. Yeah, we got there. 35. It was its 35th anniversary, so I think I saw it in 2022 for the first time, actually. I had never seen it before, and I absolutely adore this movie, and it is Dirty Dancing. As you can probably see, it's a little bit worn down, even the Blu-ray, I believe. I bought this used at the vintage stock that I went to buy most of these movies from. And this was, I think, one of the original Blu-rays when this first was put out on Blu-ray. I love this film. Jennifer Grey, Patrick Swayze, the music in this, the vibes. Again, 1987, as I already mentioned with Adventures in Babysitting. I love that year in movies, and this is another one that, for me personally, I know it is more, I guess, what you say, like a girly movie or catered towards women, whatnot. But for me, I really love. It's a sexy movie. It also, not on the opposite of that, it goes into some really dark themes that is really interesting how they're able to do that while not completely messing up the tone or anything, because it can be sexy and fun but also go into those darker themes. This fun camp vibe as well during the summertime, a really cool setting, even though it does get a little bit melodramatic near the end of the movie. Patrick Swayze like going away, driving away, and that song comes on, She's Like the Wind, and then you know he's gonna end up coming back and being with her, and you know it's gonna happen. So it does get a little melodramatic by the end of it, but that is part of the charm, I think, of this movie. And I have a real soft spot in my heart for 80s movies in general, and this is one that I just really adore. And so yeah, really happy to have it. Probably eventually would like to upgrade it, not just to 4K, but probably a little bit better of a cover. But I kind of like also the quality of it, how it's got a little bit of a rough look to it already. So yeah, Dirty Dancing. Now here's another one that, again, don't really hear much people talking about. This came out in like 2015, I believe. One of the last of the well, dirty comedies, I guess, are the real raunchy, over-the-top comedies, and that is Dirty Grandpa. Zac Efron, Robert De Niro. Really enjoyed Zac Efron ever since, I believe I mentioned on this channel before, I grew up, again, more in 1998, so the High School Musical movies were so much a part of, again, the reason why I was in drama. Always enjoyed Zac Efron. Really awesome to see when he transitioned into this part of his career where he did more things besides, of course, High School Musical movies in like 17 again. And even like something like Hairspray he was in also, going outside of those certain things and getting into more raunchy stuff or adult themed stuff in general. And this is an outrageously funny comedy. One of the only Robert De Niro movies where he is in a comedy that I enjoy. I think at times when he's doing those type of comedies, it doesn't always land for me. Really good in here though. I buy that he is Zac Efron's grandpa in here. The setting of it, Aubrey Plaza, is amazing in this. Her dirty nature of her character, the shit she'll say and the shit she'll do, really fits where Robert De Niro's character is at in this. As this grandpa who doesn't give a fuck anymore. It's very fun, hilarious. Again, one of the last movies of the era of outrageous, funny comedies. Not afraid to be offensive, but in the way that's appropriate, you know? Like, I think, again, not to harp on it too much, but I think we can definitely get back to that, of being able to be outrageous with the comedy, understanding that some things are offensive, but not necessarily in a bad way, if that makes sense. I don't know. There's a lot of nuance to it. But anyways, if you've never seen this before, I would definitely check it out. Happy that's the unrated version as well. I don't think I've seen that, that particular version. As I already mentioned before, the extent of my anime knowledge really starts and ends for the most part with Dragon Ball Z. And this was one that was already in my grandma's collection that I got. And this is just another run, Dragon Ball Super, Part 1, Episode 1 through 13. I thought I'd go ahead and keep it instead of taking it in because if I'm really into this, I can go ahead and get the other parts for this specific version of Dragon Ball Z. Again, I know there's so many different versions, like movies and shows. As I mentioned, not very knowledgeable on it, so I'm going to be trying to get back into Dragon Ball Z a little more, and this is, again, Part 1 of this. If you're an anime fan out there, you're watching this, tell me how good this version of Dragon Ball Z is. I've heard pretty good things about it, mostly positive stuff. So again, just not very knowledgeable with it. I really liked Dragon Ball Z growing up. The little stuff that, the games I would play with my friend, and also the shows and movies we'd watch from it, the little bits of knowledge. I enjoyed the lore that they were building at certain moments. It was just so much that I don't really remember a lot of it. So anyways, really be interested in getting back into this. But yeah. Again, Part 1 of Dragon Ball Super. We'll see how that goes eventually. And here is another one of my favorites, and I just watched it again recently. I could watch this movie at any time. I can understand there's flaws with it, but it is The Great Gatsby, the Baz Luhrmann film that came out in 2013, and this I adore. I love the themes in it. I think the execution of the story and the way it's directed really works for me. I understand that the music and the overdone amount of CGI in this is a problem for a lot of people, but for me, it works so well. I think there are a couple of times where the music is a little bit out of place and the CGI is a little overly noticeable at times in the movie, and it does take me out a couple times. But other than that, I love the setting, the idea of this, the West Egg and East Egg, the way they visualize that, the green light, bringing that to life. And Leonardo DiCaprio, this was when he was on his run, Django Unchained, this, you had The Revenant and Wolf of Wall Street. Those 4 movies, one of the best runs of any actor, I believe. And I think he is so good in this. When it first came out, I remember we watched it in school even. I couldn't imagine anyone else playing this character. By the way, Tobey Maguire is also I think great in this. The narration, the dialogue in this is so well done, and the way he delivers it, I can't imagine anyone else playing his character either, Nick Carraway. The time period it's in, the 20s, the way they're able to, for the most part, bring in the Jay-Z music that I think actually, again, works for me for the most part. I think there's a time or two where it is a little bit out of place, where they're trying to insert in a spot where it just doesn't fit. But overall, I did enjoy what they did with it for the most part. And I really love this movie, the way it ends, the tragedy of it, the romance, the idea of trying to obtain the past and lost love, and the idea of moving forward or what that even means. So many different themes in here that I really love to see as I'm watching the movie. And I really enjoyed the book as well that we read in school also. So I think this is a really nice movie. I'd be interested to see. I think there's a couple of older films of this, maybe only one. But either way, yeah, the cinematography, the music, the colors in this. This is one of my Baz Luhrmann ones that I really enjoyed. I haven't seen Moulin Rouge. I've heard that's a really great one from a lot of people that are fans of Baz. So didn't quite enjoy the Elvis movie as much a couple of years ago. The Goonies. What else can I say about this? Classic. Everyone knows about the Goonies. I don't really need to add much to this. Timeless. All the kid actors, everyone in this, from Josh Brolin to Sean Astin, of course, to Corey Feldman. The adventurous nature of it, what it means to be a kid and exploring and having a good time. And the music in this as well, it's a classic. Another one that I don't really need to say much about, and that is Gremlins and Gremlins 2. I got a little bit of a double feature combo here. Gremlins 2, I know that is one that's hated on by a lot of people, or not maybe hated on, but seen as the lesser one by a pretty wide margin. I really enjoy that one. I will say, yeah, the first one is better and is more classic, but I enjoyed what they did with the second one. I thought it was still fun, being able to see the Gremlins going crazy and wild. That's the main reason why I come to these movies. The fact that you still got the main cast back in it. It does get a little wild with this whole AI building, basically, building all run on this fancy ass technology, a little bit ahead of the time with that storytelling. But I don't know. Of course, the first one's a classic. What can you say? Gizmo, I mean, one of the cutest characters in all of cinema. Stripe, one of the more badass characters in all of cinema. I'm half joking there. But yeah, I really enjoy this, of course. Again, don't really need to say much else about this. The effects of the Gremlins, everything about it. Be really interested to go and watch some of the special features on these as well. Now up next, getting to the H's here, and that is Happy Gilmore. This is one, again, I've been watching since I was pretty young, probably like at some point in elementary school. For me, this is my favorite run of Adam Sandler films. The Wedding Singer, this movie, Billy Madison, and that's probably my favorite 3. Once you get past that, it starts to get a little bit more iffy for me. I'm not the biggest fan of Waterboy or even Little Nicky. I enjoy Little Nicky, but it's not one of my favorites. And with this movie, I mean, again, if you're an Adam Sandler fan, you understand exactly why. This is a classic. Billy Madison is that more goofy, off-the-wall Adam Sandler, which I do enjoy, particularly for that film. But for me, my favorite Adam Sandler is when he is still goofy, but it's toned down to a level where you get more of the grounded Adam Sandler performance. And I think you get that in here. You get the great combination of him being crazy goofy and over the top, cussing and all sorts on the golf course. But he's also able to bring certain levels of a drama that doesn't ever go too far into like melodrama, especially for a comedy movie like this. But he brings enough there, like stuff with his grandma, and then him being into that girl that works for the the PGA Tour or whatever. It's really fun. I could watch this movie anytime. It's one of my favorites. I grew up with this. Don't really give a fuck about golf, but this is a movie where I'm so entertained by every minute of it. The Price is Wrong, bitch.
The price is wrong, bitch.
And here's another one which I got for a steal. I got this for 99 cents, again, at my local vintage stock. If you know about it, you know what it is. I love vintage stock. And this is a nice little sleeve that I have. Sleeve cover of The Hateful Eight. This is the only Quentin Tarantino film I have, which is pretty shocking, as you see here. Get a nice little opening there. That's a pretty cool ass opening cover there. Honestly, yeah, really love that artwork. The handcuffs there. I mean, and even the front here, you kind of feel the little perforation kind of poking up. But yeah, the cast here, before I be looking and admiring this without talking to you guys, this is not one of my favorite Tarantino films. I remember watching it when it first came out, and I enjoyed it enough. I did think it went on a little bit too long. I think it meanders a bit in the middle, but it would be interesting to go ahead and check it out again. I love the setting, this snow vibe. It has a little bit of the Django Unchained sort of vibes, with the time period being a little bit closer to that in a way. And of course, the acting in here, the performances, it's a Tarantino film, so he's going to bring that level, and the direction is on a technical level really well done from what I remember. But again, I only saw it when it first came out, and so now, again, got this for 99 cents. I think this is a really cool little slip cover for that. Tarantino, there's so much more I need to get. Pretty much, I'm going to collect all of his movies that he's put out. Here is a little 2-film movie collection, a little double pack here, and that is both of the Hunchback of Notre Dame movies. And this is another one, both movies I had never seen from beginning to end. If I did, I was smaller and I don't remember it. And I was really happy with the first movie especially. The second one was all right. It wasn't quite as good as the first one. The first one in particular, though, I think I'm so shocked that I didn't watch it and remember it more than I did, because Alan Menken is on the music here again. 90s Renaissance, as I already mentioned when talking about Aladdin. The music in here is pretty damn memorable. The drama it brings was really surprising. I thought the villain in here was pretty menacing, intimidating. And the themes it goes for in here, of course, on the surface, the obvious ones of not to judge someone just because of how they look. And but some of the deeper themes of truly having acceptance in society and how far you will go for that, the being ashamed of who you are and trying to break out of that, no matter what people think of you. All those themes they really package in this movie really well, particularly talking about the first one. Having like Demi Moore in here and someone like Kevin Kline providing their voice acting to this. And even watching the behind the scenes on this after I saw the movie, it's really cool to see how they put this together, and in the midst of that 90s renaissance, how they crafted the film when they were still doing the hand-drawn animation as well, while getting into adding in the little bits of CGI when you start to have more of these movies come out towards the 2000s. But I really enjoyed this movie. Not one of my favorite Disney movies, but that's not really saying much, because I could go on for days about some of the ones that I love. And it's pretty unfair to this one because I just watched for the first time truly the other day. So really enjoyed it. I thought the main guy who plays the Hunchback here, really well done. And yeah, very menacing at times, and gets into some real dark, dramatic themes that hit on a really, really strong level. So yeah, really enjoyed this. The animation is cool as well. This is, I think, one of the only tornado films besides the two Twister movies that I'm that familiar with. I know the Sharknado films, but Into the Storm. This is a movie, let me look on here again. Exactly what year? I think 2014 when this movie came out. I always enjoyed it. This is another one that was already in my grandma's collection that I got. Didn't buy this myself, but I would have if it was for the right price. I enjoy this. I think there are limitations with it. The effects are not as good as even, I'd say, the first Twister movie, which is definitely a fairly big knock on it. But I enjoy my time with it. I think Richard Armitage in here as the main dad character in here. He's the principal, I believe, or vice principal, whatever, of the school. It takes place in a small town, Oklahoma, so this hits close to home, much like the original Twister movie, and even the second one. Living here, been in Oklahoma my whole life. So there's a lot of fun to be had with this. I think they shot it in Michigan, and it really does feel like a small Oklahoma town. So I thought they did a good job with the set design, and after the destruction of the tornadoes, seeing how they did with like the buses and cars, it really felt like a tornado went through the area. The effects in general, you can tell they put a lot of care into it. The visual, like special effects with some of the tornadoes, it was better at some times than it is at others. When they try to go too fantastical with it, like have like 6 tornadoes coming down at once and then the fire tornado, it becomes a little bit much, and it's like, what are we doing a Shark Tank movie now? It felt like they needed to create something to outdo this genre, this small subgenre of tornado films after, of course, this is before Twisters, but the first Twister movie came out. I thought they did a good enough job with it. It's a nice, fun little movie to watch. I think it does get intense at times, especially the way they're able to capture when the tornado was hitting, especially when it's hitting like the school, and the immediate nature of it when you all of a sudden you start to hear a little rumbling and then 10 seconds later it's on top of you and taking shit out. I thought it was pretty realistic in that way. And also the way they film the movie, make it more of this documentarian sort of style where they had this class project going on. So there's a lot of filming going on that you're seeing a lot of this stuff through. I thought it was unique enough to try and separate itself from something like Twister. So I thought that was really nice. And also really fun to see. I think Nathan Kress is the actor, the kid who played, well, not kid really much anymore, especially, I don't even think in this, but the kid who played Freddy in iCarly. Really cool to see him in something other than that, because I think this is mainly the only thing that I can remember seeing him in other than iCarly. So really cool to see him in here. Nice little side thing there. But yeah, I enjoyed this pretty well, watching it again about a week ago. And another one that I had seen before, but I went ahead and watched it again. Been on a Disney kick with the ones I do have, at least already on physical media. And that is James and the Giant Peach. This was one of my faves growing up. Came out in 1996. Again, born in 1998, so this was a great movie for me growing up. I think the animation style, the way they're able to mix the live action with stop motion and then a little bit of that CGI in there, I thought they did it about as well as they could have in terms of that. Watching it again, the third act does not quite fall apart for me, but it definitely is the weaker act. I think they end up going in to testing the logic a little bit too much for me, where if you've seen it before, present certain villains in the movie that they try to bring back the 2 aunts that were abusive to him, and somehow they were able to make it in their car across the fucking ocean. There's certain things like that in the third act that start to compound where I'm like, okay, I bought into the fantastical element of this movie, but it goes a little bit too far with it, where I didn't quite check out because it's the last like 10 minutes and the movie's over, and it's not that long a movie anyway. But aside from that, I think the voice acting is really well done in here. The music is, while not being memorable in terms of having the song stuck in my head, the sequences where the music take place in, I have in my head and where I'm thinking about when I have the movie on my mind. The one where they're eating all the different parts of the peach, and the opening song, even where the boy, the actor in here that plays the kid, he does a really good job in that solo number he has at the beginning of the movie. I thought it was actually pretty dramatic and hit pretty well. The idea of being stuck in a situation where the grass is truly greener on the other side. This is one of those situations where I like the playing on that sort of trope. Fun movie to watch if you've never seen it before. Same director who did The Nightmare Before Christmas, and of course, I think that is the better film, but I think if you like that movie and you still have never seen this movie, you happen to not, this would be a fun one to watch. It's about an hour, 15 minutes, something like that, so it's a real fun, easy watch, and I love the way, as a kid especially, when I was watching this, how it can test and open up your imagination to what storytelling can be. I love when movies do that, and this, I think, does it in some of the best ways. It was another one that was already in my collection that I obtained from my grandma, and that is The Legend of Tarzan. And this is one that I enjoy pretty well. It's not the best. I do like Samuel Jackson in here. He has his moments. I think Margot Robbie in here, she's giving it her best as well. The Skarsgård homie in here, I think Alexander Skarsgård. Everyone's giving it their all here. I think the direction at times and where the story goes could be more interesting. I think it's really cool also to have Christoph Waltz in here. His performance, I think, again, he's giving it his all. There's a part of me that probably enjoys this more than most. Definitely not one of the better Tarzan movies, though. I think still the best one for me is obviously the animated one that came out. Phil Collins, fucking awesome music on that. Now this next one is the Mask of Zorro, and this is one that I had not seen ever before until I think about a week ago as well, now that I have it on physical. Blu-ray especially, and I really enjoyed it. I'd always heard positive things about it. Antonio Banderas is fun as hell in this, has some real dramatic moments in here. Anthony Hopkins showcased in here, again, why he is one of the great actors of all time. And even someone that I'm still not really honestly that familiar with. I know I've seen her in other stuff. Catherine Zeta-Jones in here. I thought she's also a really nice romantic counterpart to Antonio Banderas' character. And also, when you get to the third act of this, the explosions and everything was really well done. I wasn't expecting them to go so balls to the wall with the cool-ass explosions. So I'd be really interested to check out The Legend of Zorro after this. Obviously, never seen that since I'd never seen this. But this was a fun movie. The sword fighting in it, really well done as well. The action and everything. Now next, it is the KL Studio Classic packaging of The Monster Squad. And this movie, again, as I mentioned, a theme, 1987 when this came out. For me, I already showed you I had the Goonies. I often prefer this over the Goonies. And this is one that not many people talk about, especially when you're comparing it to something like the Goonies. This is the Goonies, but with a harder edge and also dealing with more, as you can already tell, if you've never seen it before, the packaging, the Universal monsters on here. You got Dracula, Creature from the Black Lagoon, the Mummy, Wolfman, and also Frankenstein pops up in here. I think this is a very, very good film. It's fun, hilarious at times. Again, with the harder edge, it's not afraid to go there with some of the language and some of the more intense moments. Dracula is pretty fucking terrifying in here as a kid watching this. The transformation of Wolfman in this movie as well is one of the better ones, I think, period. I'm going to go ahead and say that. It might be a hot take, but...
Get all your men and send them down to 666 Shadowbrook Road. It's an old mansion. He's found the amulet. There's no time.
Who the hell is this?
I'm the one they shot last night. I'm a werewolf now, but...
Have a nice night.
No, don't hang up. He's gonna kill your son.
I think this is so fun. The music in here, the soundtrack. Me growing up, watching this with my dad, I've seen this so many times. So happy to get it on Blu-ray. Love the cover here. It's so 80s. Now, another one I have, and this is the only other 4K movie that I have. Luckily, the Blu-ray is on it as well, as I mentioned earlier in this video. Can't watch any 4K yet. Don't have quite the setup to do that. So it is Robin Hood. The movie with Taron Egerton in it, Jamie Foxx, Ben Mendelsohn as the sheriff, I believe, yeah, Sheriff Nottingham. This is not one of my favorite Robin Hood movies. In fact, I would probably put the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves movie with Kevin Costner above it. Robin Hood Men in Tights probably above this as well. And of course, the original animated Robin Hood movie. That is another one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. I love that movie, could watch it anytime. This is an alright movie. I watched it again the other day, and I think what really saves this movie from being not so good is Taron Egerton. I think his charm in this, what he brings to the table here, and I think there is a legitimate love put behind the direction here. Watching the special features behind this, they did put a lot of effort into everything going on here, and I can appreciate that. I do think at times the way he shoots the arrows so quickly feels a little bit weird and fantastical. That's a little more of a smaller element, but what they do with Jamie Foxx's character in here, I thought they could have done a lot more. He plays essentially Little John. They kind of barely even mention that. And he's there, but honestly, if his character was not involved in this movie, I don't think it would have made much of a difference. You have Jamie Dornan in here, and what they do with his character, trying to create this conflict between Marion, or Mary, whatever her name is, the romantic lead in this, whereas Jamie Dornan's character is with her. And they try to create this conflict, and then what they end up doing with this character at the end of the movie, I did not buy much at all. That really took the movie down quite a bit, what they're trying to set up for a potential, I guess, sequel to this movie. I just didn't quite vibe with it. But overall, the action is still shot pretty well. And Taron Egerton, I think when you're watching this, you can't help but embrace the charm that he is bringing to the movie. And he really does fit as a Robin Hood. I think the movie overall could have been a little bit better. with the story and where it goes, but it's overall pretty entertaining and a movie that I could go back to every once in a blue moon. This is where I'm going to start to get into the weird territory with the collections. I have random movies a part of the collection, and to be honest, these are movies that I have a blind spot with, so I'm going to go ahead and get ready for any comments that are down below. I have only seen the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, so have not seen this one, and it is Pirates of the Caribbean, whatever, On Strange Tides. Love Johnny Depp. I really just never got into these movies growing up. Again, born in 1998, so it would have been probably the perfect time to watch these movies. Probably catch up on the first two as I got a little older, but I never got into them. And even though this looks like regular, it does have the Blu-ray in it, and so that is the reason why I kept this one. I'm interested in getting into these movies. I watched the first one a while back, and I never got into the other ones after it. I got distracted and probably got into some other stuff. I love Johnny Depp. Be interested in checking these out. And so I have this one. Again, it's random. This was part of my grandma's collection. That's why I just have this one. So I want to collect all these movies and then get into it. Up next, this is the one movie I have that is not Blu-ray, and that is only because I wasn't even sure if I'd ever be able to get any of these movies on Blu-ray, and that is, to me, a fucking classic from my childhood, and anyone that is around my age, I think would fucking agree. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. This is one of my favorite movies that I have. One of my favorite movies growing up. I think this run of Scooby-Doo films, whether you're talking about On Zombie Island, Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost, Scooby-Doo Cyber Chase, Scooby-Doo the Alien Invaders one, and then even the ones a little bit after that came out in the early 2000s, like the Vampire one in Australia. I forget the name of that one. The Legend of the Vampire, I believe that one is. The Loch Ness Monster one also, and even when you get into the mid-2000s, the Pirates Ahoy one I thought was really well done. This stretch of Scooby-Doo films is, I think, unmatched. I don't want to overhype it too much. Depending on what age you are or if you don't give a fuck, if you ever want to check this movie out in particular, I think this is probably still the best one of that Scooby-Doo run. I grew up not only watching these films, but What's New Scooby-Doo as well. I really enjoyed that. And then, of course, the original Mysteries of Scooby-Doo, the older one that came out in like the 60s or 70s or whatever. I really enjoy Scooby-Doo, and this is a movie I will keep it forever, even if I never get it on Blu-ray, because it is that much of a classic. I know they had it on Max. They actually put the fucking movies on Max finally. All these years, they didn't have these movies on any streaming service except probably like Boomerang or some fucking shit. Just happy I could have it on there, but also I know eventually it probably won't be on there, so to have it on some type of physical media, I think is really awesome. And yeah, this is such a fun movie. Great to watch around Halloween, too, if you ever feel inclined. Again, never seen it. And the cover of it, too. Such a classic Scooby-Doo cover. I mean, probably my favorite one. Look, I had to put this on here, to be honest. I feel a little weird with this even being in the collection, but I plan to collect all of these movies, so that's the only reason why I'm keeping it, because this movie just looks like shit. I'm sorry, but yeah. What? Scorpion King 4? Yeah. I have not seen any Scorpion King movies. I just recently actually watched the Mummy movies for the first time within the last year. I have a blind spot with these. With the cast and everything, no offense to anybody involved, but it doesn't look too good. And so, what can I say? It's part of my collection. This was another one that my grandma already had, and she had the other Scorpion King movies, but they were all on regular DVD, so I wasn't going to keep them. I want to collect everything on Blu-ray and 4K now. I'm going to eventually collect all the Scorpion King movies at some point, but again, who knows when the fuck that'll be. There's so many movies I want to get before I even get to these fucking things. Sin City. This is, of course, a classic. I've watched it a few times over the years. My dad watched it plenty growing up. There'd be so many times when you just have it on. The aesthetic of this movie, the cinematography, the way it really feels like the graphic novel popping out on the screen here, the directing style in general, really cool to have the Blu-ray here. They have a nice little director's commentary on here with Quentin Tarantino as well. Gives off a specific vibe that really is pretty cool. And now the last Disney movie I can go through for now. Again, I grew up with Disney, so I'm going to eventually collect most, if not all, of the damn Disney movies, but Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the animated movie that started it all. Another one that I don't really need to add much to, much like Aladdin. It's a classic for very many reasons. As I already mentioned, the first animated film, some consider this still the best animated film of all time, and I couldn't really argue with you much there. With Seven Dwarfs, the Evil Queen, Snow White herself, the apple, so much of this exists in the pop culture zeitgeist still to this day. There's a reason why they're coming out with a live action one here in a couple months, and so this might be one actually that I end up reviewing before that movie comes out. And now for me, another 1987 classic. Again, there's a theme here, and I wasn't even planning on just going out and getting my favorite 1987 films. It happened to be this way. And there's even another film that's one of my favorite movies, The Lost Boys, that I do not have yet in my collection. That is also another 1987 film, but that is Spaceballs. Probably still my favorite Mel Brooks film. I love everything about this. The goofy nature of it, the perfect spoof that it is of Star Wars, while also still being its own thing. The cast here, of course, the late, great John Candy, one of his more fun, I mean, he's always fun, but he really is having a great time here as Barf. Bill Pullman in here as well. Really fun as your main lead. It really works for how goofy the movie is. He fits the role so well. Of course, Rick Moranis as the evil Lord Helmet, Darth Helmet. May the Schwartz be with you.
And may the Schwartz be with you. What a world.
Always going to be a very fun movie to watch. I could put this on anytime and have a blast with it. I know some people that watched it more recently that have never seen it before have maybe a tougher time with the comedy. I think Mel Brooks in general can have that issue with certain people that if you've never seen his films, especially when you go to something like Blazing Saddles, where the comedy is very outdated. One of my faves, again, 1987. Getting into parts of a collection that is random as fuck, and it's another movie that my grandma had that was in her collection that I just ended up inheriting, if you will. And that is Terminator Genisys. Again, not much to say here. I know, even though I'm explaining myself, I'm probably still going to get random-ass comments, potentially, of like, what the fuck? Why do you have Terminator fucking Genisys, but not the fucking first two Terminators? And I get it.
What the fuck is this?
She had all the other Terminator movies, but they were regular DVDs, and I'm not going to keep those, so I for sure plan to get all the Terminators at some point. The first two Terminators especially, of course, are the best ones still for me. Just continuing down that road, I've explained myself already enough. Transformers The Last Night. Yeah.
With all due respect, what the fuck are you talking about?
This is one that I attempted along with that Terminator movie, but definitely this. I was very tempted to just trade this in to get another different movie, but I do plan on collecting all the Transformers movies as well, so fuck it. I went ahead and kept it. Not a very good movie from what I remember. I think I watched it probably one time. Once you get past the first two for me, until you get to Bumblebee, there's not very much good in the Transformers movies, I think personally. I'm going to get into one that I got for really cheap, and that is Warrior. This is a really good movie. I saw it when it first came out, and so I'm very interested in checking it out again. This was another one that I got for a steal. It's 99 cents, and for a fucking Blu-ray, I think that is really, especially for a movie that's this good, I think it's awesome. All three of the people in here, the main actors, Nick Nolte, Joel Edgerton, and Tom Hardy, are really good in this. I remember the story was very dramatic, very inspirational at times, but also it takes you down into the dumps. I don't remember a lot from it, but I do remember I really enjoyed it when it came out. So yeah, I'll be interested in checking this one out again. One that I remember checking out at one point, but I honestly don't have any recollection if I enjoyed it much at all. And that is The Woman in Black. Comment down below what you think about this one. I'd be interested to see any of you horror fans out there. That is one genre that I desperately need to add to my collection very soon, because as you can see from mine, I have plenty of comedy and different types of movies other than that, but horror movies, this is like probably the one just straight up horror movie that I have, and that is kind of really bad right now. So that's the main thing I'm going to focus on next, is there's so many horror movies that are some of my favorites I need to get. But Woman in Black, don't remember much about it. Daniel Radcliffe, not too long after Harry Potter in this. Unfortunately, this has to be the last movie in my collection because, of course, the alphabet, what can you do? And it is continuing the theme here. Yeah. X-Men, The Dark Phoenix.
Fuck you!
I remember seeing this in theaters with Arthur, my friend, and my other friend Guillermo when it came out, and it was so disappointing. Like, it was not good at all from what I remember. The story, what they were doing with the characters, I remember not vibing with it much at all. I'd be interested in checking it out again once I get all the other X-Men films, and then doing the Dark Phoenix storyline. It didn't quite pan out like it could have. You still get really good actors in here like Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy. What they do with the story, they don't nearly go into it to the level that they needed to, especially with the depth and emotion that they could have really brought out of it. And it feels very hollow at times, and you could definitely feel this is also when the Fox X-Men universe was really starting to die down. I think this maybe even came out after they had fully decided that the merger was happening, bringing all the Fox characters that are eventually going to come over to the MCU and all that stuff. Not a very good film from what I remember, but I would definitely be interested in checking it out again. Guys, that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video at all. Again, a very small limited collection right now. I know there's hella people out there that are posting YouTube videos that have very, very extensive collections. I'm really happy to go on this journey finally to really commit to collecting this stuff. And yeah, I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are. Leave a comment down below. What are some movies that you think I desperately need to have in my collection? What are some of the ones I had that you're like, what the fuck? How is that even in there? Trust me, I get it on some of those. And your thoughts in general on some of the movies that I showed you. Are they some of your faves as well? Do you have more thoughts on any of those? Leave a comment down below. Anything you want to say. Support is very much appreciated for this channel. Hit the like button as well, and also hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed this as well. And there's also some videos down in the description below of some of my latest videos that I posted recently. Haven't posted as much in the last couple of weeks because, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, haven't gone to the theaters as much this month. Should have more free time to do that going into this next month. And of course, a little bit more movies coming out that are a little more prominent. I'm going to plan to see some more movies that are already out in theaters. Depends on what I see, what movie reviews I end up doing. But I also just saw Companion as I'm recording this tonight. I'm going to have that review out pretty quickly after this video is up. And then we'll see after that what movies I see. And then probably, as I've been doing since I started this channel back up, I'll post some reviews for TV shows for certain seasons that come out as well. Anyone who went through this with me, I do appreciate it. And it'll be interesting to see month by month and then year by year as I continue to post my journey with this, how big my collection ends up getting. And that'll be cool to go back and see this first video and how limited it really was, and to see the journey behind it. We'll be looking for more videos very soon, and I will talk to you guys later.